From the Gateway to the Gabba, Brisbane is clocking off. Join the team for the final word on the week. It's the 4BC Drive Friday Knockoff.
The week's done and we've never been closer to the weekend. This is the Friday Knockoff. And joining me to make sense of a wild week are Rosanna Ryan, editor of the Brisbane Times. Hello, Rosanna.
Hello. And
State Secretary of the Teachers Professional Association of Queensland, Edward Schuller. How'd I go with that one, Edward?
Perfect. Good to be here.
Yeah, I'm rotten with names, so I'll just stick to Rosie and Edward. Is that all right? Or Eddie?
Edward's great.
Edward's great. All right. Cop that one. Now, before we get stuck into the hard stuff, Rosanna, it's Mother's Day this Sunday. You're a mum yourself. How are you going to be spending it? What do mums actually want?
Oh, well, those are two different questions. But I will take my kids to swimming first thing on Sunday morning.
Good for you, yep.
And then we're going to go out to a cafe for some brunch. And then I think I'm going to leave my kids at home with their dad and go to a gig in the evening. So
that's what you really want. You want to go to the gig, and leave the kids behind.
I think having a bit of both is a nice way to do it.
Edward?
We'll catch up with Mum and the family for lunch after church, and we're going to have another mum in the family soon. My sister's due today, so praying for a safe delivery. I haven't heard anything.
Have you got
yet.
your phone on?
Not at the moment, but it could come any moment. So another new mother to come.
What's her name?
Exciting. Georgia.
Well, all the best to Georgia.
It's awesome.
It would be great if Bub arrived on Mother's... Number one, the first one for Georgia?
Yeah, first one for her. Yeah.
Rosanna, we know these things they don't work to plan sometimes. No. They don't follow a schedule, babies, ever. A big story for this week has been Dean Clifford suffers from a rare skin condition, doesn't let it get him down. Last Friday, he went to the footy and uploaded a photo to social media of him and his mum after Meta AI labelled him as a zombie, which I think we all agree is deplorable. The trolls came after him and left the nastiest comments. We spoke to Dean on the show. His resilience was something to behold. We put it on the 4BC's socials and it went viral. All of the comments were calling for him to be upgraded to a box, so 4BC made it so. It's Do It for Dolly Day today, a reminder there's no room for bullies in this town. Rosanna, what did you think of the city's response to Dean?
Well, it was great to see so many people getting behind Dean. It's a bit sort of sad that that's the way social media works these days. I feel like when Facebook first came on the scene, it was quite a nice way to connect with friends. But these days you kind of jump on and it's giving you all sorts of things that you haven't asked for. And and then giving you kind of weird prompts that haven't even come from human beings. So
it's the bonfire of hate that I despise, and I hate bullies. Edward, what did you think?
Yeah, well, I watched the interview that you did with Dean, and he comes across as a really great fellow. And it's just sad to see someone attacked so violently about a immutable characteristic. And he's living with a disability. He, like you said, he's not letting it drag him down. Obviously, it's really Wild West days at the moment for AI in terms of regulation and all of that sort of thing. And then there's the additional thing of social media pylons. And there's so much unfettered filth on social media, whether it's stuff like this, whether it's basically pornography. This is, part of the arguments made around trying to keep kids off social media. So, I might be a good reminder to a lot of people to put the phone down and, not get disconnected with the fact that people are people, and most people saying those things wouldn't say it to his face. I think the humanity would actually sink in. So it's sad to see, but good on Dean.
Yeah, Edward, what do you think is the best way to tackle cyberbullying?
Well, I think it comes from the heart. I think there's obviously the anonymity part of it. I truly believe a lot of these people just wouldn't say it, to Dean's face or to anyone else's face. But I think it goes back to a problem of people basically getting off on someone else's hardship, which is, I think, a deeper problem in society. It's more of a cultural problem. It seems that, it seems like just a basic sense of morality. Why would you have such a crack at someone who's just going about their life? So I think it gets back to, personal responsibility and a sense of morality. In terms of the AI stuff and how social media implements that with automatic labels like that, there should probably be key terms that are removed. I think they already do that, but they're clearly not doing it enough.
Rosanna, do you think there'll come a day when this will be behind us, and how do we get there?
I don't know. No, I'm not sort of optimistic about the near future. I'm not sure that I see the social media platforms moving in the right direction. But it is good to see that there's sort of pushback from the community, and I think that that's a really good thing.
That's
to see.
the takeaway that I take from Dean's story was the tens of thousands of people that wrapped their arms around him and told the bullies to take a hike.
Yeah,
I think that was great. Okay. Stafford By-Election coming up next Saturday, not this Saturday, but next one, I think. We thought we were doing a good thing. We'd invited all the candidates on to the program to put their case. Only Labor came on and got away with 4 free kicks, which I wasn't very happy about. Nobody else would come forward. What do you think that's about, Edward?
Oh, I think it's disappointing. I think it's probably a reflection on how campaigns are run more broadly in politics now. It's very centralised, and if there's nothing ostensibly to gain from doing media interviews, they just won't. I think it's a bad thing. I think there should be a level of accountability. There should be questions put to everyone. And there are a lot of questions about this by-election, and we obviously have a fair few as well, as we've been out on the booths this week as Red Union, who represents nurses. There are a lot of questions we can chat about.
Labor's made a big deal out of cuts to the beds at Prince Charles. It's about their only campaign platform.
It is, and it's interesting because it's 93 beds, but we've gone to, a number of different sources, and they said, well, those beds never existed, so is it really a cut? And then we've asked Labor, and they've said, it's sort of like a forward estimates thing, so it doesn't really exist yet, but it's cutting it out of the future. What we wanted to put forward as the Red Union, as the Nurses Professional Association who represents nurses, is the actual cuts that are happening at the moment at a federal level, $35 billion cuts to the NDIS over the next 4 years, which will affect nurses in Brisbane. And some of that's the rort, but only a small percentage. So there's a lot of nurses who are going to be out of a job, and the state Labor opposition aren't stepping in to fill that shortfall of funding, and we think that that's pretty damning as well.
Righto, Luke Richmond, that's the free kick back to your 4 free kicks. Rosie, have you heard from the candidates as the Brisbane Times? I know you've done a fair bit on this.
Yeah, we were listening. They had sort of a community forum, like an online one on Wednesday night that we were listening into, and most of the candidates went along to that. I'm not sure it was maybe as hard-hitting as a 4BC interview might have been, but it was a kind of a grassroots thing. I'm not sure I've kind of heard anything very surprising from any of the candidates. So, yes, I think there's probably a lot
We're sleepwalking towards it by the sounds of it.
Yeah, that could be one way to put it, yeah.
All right, quick one. Your tip for Farah this weekend, Susan Lee's old seat?
It looks like One Nation are looking quite strong going into it.
Probably One Nation. Just the immigration comments are going to hurt One Nation, though. So we'll see how that goes.
Good
From
idea.
David Farley.
It's Friday, gotta get down on Friday. Everybody's looking forward to the weekend.
And continuing with our Friday knockoff on 4BC Drive, I'm here with Rosanna Ryan from the Brisbane Times and Edward Schuller from the Teachers Association. Let's talk about the ISIS brides, or the people claimed to be ISIS brides. We saw the footage last night, the women returning from the Islamic Caliphate back on Aussie soil, facing the music with some very serious charges. Now, we can't talk about the specifics of the court case, but we can talk about the principles. There's a lot of anger out there. Can I ask you what you made of the footage of them at the airport last night, Rosanna?
Well, I guess it was, there were some chaotic scenes in some ways, but I think that's probably the best that we could have expected it to go, and yeah.
Edward, should they have been allowed back in?
No, they shouldn't be in our country. I don't think it's a complicated issue. The Home Affairs Minister has extraordinary powers to deport people. That was part of the reasoning of the hate speech laws that were passed at the start of the year as well, so that they could exercise that discretion. And he's chosen not to. A lot of people are thinking that's because he's obviously, member for Watson. He's got a 30% Muslim electorate. I'm not sure if that's the case or not, but it is worrying because they're a threat to the security. And I don't think anyone can look at that and say, yeah, they're just as Australian as you and I.
but the same laws that protect them protect me. How do we get around that?
Well, I guess not fighting for foreign terrorist groups. So I think discretion has to be exercised, and that's what the Home Affairs Minister is able to do. So there's already those laws that exist, and there are extraordinary powers that he has, and he's choosing not to exercise them. He's chosen to exercise it on a number of different things, yes, with non-citizens, but there are many things that he can do with citizens as well, and is just too afraid to do. And I think that's a reflection of the Albanese government more broadly.
Rosanna?
I mean, I'm not sure how much you can talk about it without sort of making a judgment on all this stuff that's before the courts. But, there is stuff that's before the courts. I feel fairly, I guess I feel confident that at least, we know who is coming back into the country, and those that need to be facing charges have been arrested and are facing charges, and that we know we know where all these people are, and
Okay.
yeah.
So at least we know where they are. At the minute, they're in a watch house and awaiting a stint in jail, most of them.
Yeah, and
Yeah. Okay, there's not much more you can say. Let's go into another thorny topic, the Amanda affair. The story seems to be rolling into another week. Rosanna, why won't the media leave these poor people alone?
Well, I mean, I think there's always a lot of interest in sex scandals and these kinds of
The King and the Queen are not immune.
Yeah.
Charles and Camilla.
Yes, I mean it is something that that people are always very interested in, and I guess particularly if it's a political enemy, you would like to make the most of it. So I know Labor's been really on the front foot talking about it this week.
You can't blame a politician for playing politics any more than you can blame a tennis player for playing tennis.
No.
That's the role.
And I think from the media point of view, well, like there are some pretty legitimate questions raised this week around, did they make the right kind of declarations to, the Integrity Commission, for example, and I think that's a question that's worth asking, even if you feel like it's not the media's role to sort of play, judge on people's private lives.
I don't think anybody is. And as a former member of the Parliamentary Media Gallery, I would make this argument that there's only a very small group of people in the city whose job it is to be at the government's heels on matters like this, on integrity. The CCC is not going to step in. It's not going to end up in a court case. The opposition's doing what oppositions are supposed to do and oppose. It really is up to the gallery to do their job, don't you think, Rosanna?
Yeah, I do. I think I think that the sort of pressure that's been put on the two ministers is legitimate, and I think they do still have questions to answer about whether they made the sort of appropriate declarations at the time.
Edward, you've been politely nodding. That surprises me.
Well, look, I mean, on a political level, I think the electorate can certainly, cast their own judgment on that, and whether it was proper with the ministers' responsibilities or not. On a personal level, it's just obviously saddening when a marriage breaks down, and not knowing all of the personal circumstances that led to this. I just pray for their families and for them, and I'll leave it at that.
I have no role at all in judging. The heart wants what the heart wants, and how people's families are run is a matter for them. My interest is in, how the government responds, first of all, to the claims that the ministers have not taken the relevant measures to avoid the perception of corruption, because there are very, very strong rules and politicians are held to a higher standard than everybody else. The other thing that I'm interested in your take on, Rosanna, is the difficulty for the government when there is an issue like this running. What is the difficulty for the government when there's an issue like this that was on the front page of the Courier Mail today?
Yeah, I was thinking that this morning when I was looking at, sort of Tim Mander, Olympics Minister, and Amanda Cam, Families Minister. And I was thinking, how much is happening in these departments that this pair are running
That crosses over.
that should be getting their full attention, I think, was what I was thinking. Like, how can they be sort of devoting 100% of their attention to all the work that they have to do as ministers when they've got this going on in the background, which is, I suppose, something that you need to think about when you're
So care to guess
getting
what
into
is the
these
next
in the
step
first place.
for Premier Christophuli, because he's been dragged into this. It's now a problem on his desk. What do you think he will do next?
Oh, well, I mean, so far he's been sort of quite supportive. I don't think, I'm not sure
Here's what I'd do.
Yeah, what would you do?
If I was advising the Premier, I'd tell him to call in the Triple C. I'd tell him to do it now. Because as soon as he does that, he says, let the Triple C decide. Let the corruption watchdog. If there's an allegation of corruption here, I want to know if there's proof. Call in the corruption watchdog, and then that stops the story. That stops the questions to the government at every media conference. That gives the government the opportunity then to talk about other things. Hey, Premier, what about that? Hey, I've handed it over to the Triple C. Let them do their investigation and let's see what the result is. As I say, that stops the question. That might put a little bit of pressure on the ministers to stand down while the investigation is underway. But I think that's step 2. We don't have to get there yet. But that's what I would do. Edward, good advice?
It's interesting.
Free advice.
I think politically it probably is helpful.
I'll send him my bill.
That's it. I'm sure he'll take the advice.
Continuing with our knockoff panel, and a short time ago I was talking about the biggest dud tourism attractions in the world, and the list included the Leaning Tower of Pisa and the Mona Lisa. Do you have dud holiday spots that you've been to, Edward?
Oh, definitely the Mona Lisa. Waited very long in line to see it once, and everyone was just crowded in front. You could barely see it. But other than that, look, I'll give a shout out to one that actually does live up to it. I think the Eiffel Tower is pretty incredible. Way too much graffiti, so it sort of takes away from it. But that'd be my 2 cents.
Rosanna?
The Mona Lisa. I mean, the reason it's so bad is the crowds. I guess you could do one of those things where you get tickets and have to go in, like some of the other famous
Sistine
Da Vinci
Chapel.
sort of one.
Sistine Chapel, sorry.
Yeah.
The Sistine Chapel's in Maryborough. I recommend you go and have a look at that. It's a public toilet that's been decked out like you wouldn't believe. Well worth the trip. Hello, Maryborough. You were saying, Rosanna?
Oh, well, Mona Lisa's got nothing on Maryborough, so...
That's the way. And this zip line over the river. Your appreciation for that, Rosanna?
I thought it looked fun. I think I'd do it if they... I've never done a zip line before, but I think going over the river would be a really cool way to see the river.
I'm calling it the Brisbane Wee because you'll get on it and go, wee! Edward?
Look, I maybe get the water looking like water before we start looking up to the skies. I'm not a big zipline guy, so maybe I'm just pessimistic on it. But I know the brown snake's also sort of iconic, so maybe we don't change.
It's going to clutter up the river. And this claim that people are going to come from all over the world to see the Brisbane zip line, get a grip. No, they're not.
No, I agree.
All right, then what are the Queensland attractions that are worth seeing, Rosanna?
Oh, good question.
Yeah. All of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you come to Brisbane, like going along the river is an amazing sort of thing to do. Like it's just such a beautiful part of our city, even if it is a little bit brown, but it's still beautiful.
Edward?
Look, maybe this is more of like a commuter's attraction, but love driving over the Story Bridge. You look to the right.
That's right.
You look to the right, you see all of the big buildings up along the river. You look to the left, you got the cliffs of Kangaroo Point, and then coming in is beautiful as well. So just the city in general.
Have you climbed the bridge? That's a big attraction.
Yeah, people are doing that a lot, similar to the Adelaide Oval as well. But Adelaide Oval's got nothing on the Story Bridge as well. People climb it. I haven't yet. Have you?
No, I'm not
yet.
Interested. What's the big deal? You drive across it, you get the same view. And the Ferris wheels and other things.
City Hall's free, so that's a good one to go up.
Yeah, but, go to a rooftop bar, you're going to get just the same view. I'm sorry to the Story Bridge climb people, Full thumbs up to you. And if you want to get dressed up in the overalls to have a glass of French champagne out of a plastic cup on the top of the Story Bridge, you do you. You do you. But I think what the government should be spending more money on are walkways, are accessible places for people to walk, because we're a city of walkers. And one of the things the IOC really loved about us when they were considering us to be an Olympic host was when they came here, they were in units on the Gold Coast, and they looked out and they just saw all of these people walking on the beaches, walking on the bike paths. Anyone can claim to be a society that loves their sport and being healthy, but here they could see it. They don't see that in Geneva because it's too cold most of the time. And that's something that really impressed them. Don't you think, Rosie, we need more accessible walkways, more interesting walkways, a bit of art here and there?
Yeah, that sounds great. I love walking around Brisbane, so yeah.
And you, Edward, you'll back me on that, won't you?
100%.
I'm drunk with power now.
No, I like it. Well, I think there was a walk bridge recently opened last year, so maybe more of that's in order.
That's right. There is one that goes from the end of Alice Street across to the Kangaroo Point.
Very close to the zip line.
Under it, perhaps.
There you go.
What next? Bungee jumping on the Fiddlesticks Bridge? I think it's all a bit silly. Now, the awards that nobody wants and everybody wants to talk about, your Australians of the Week. It's an easy one for me. It's Dean. It's Dean and the fight against bullies. Rosanna?
I wanted to nominate my mum since it's Mother's Day coming up, and also because she babysat my kids last week when I went to the football. So that was, a very kind thing for her to do.
Yes, it was. What's your mum's name?
Jill.
Good on you, Jill. You'll be lined up again for what, Sunday when you go to the gig?
Oh, no.
Leave the kids behind a different time. Edward?
This time.
Well, yeah, shout out to my mum as well. I have to now, Rosanna. So shout out to Selma. But I think as well, I mentioned my sister Georgia who's having a baby. So my Australian of the week is all the new mums that are enjoying their first Mother's Day on Sunday.
Oh, aren't you sweet?
I've got 4 older sisters.
All right, wooden spooners.
My wooden spooner was the Reserve Bank for raising
Putting up interest rates.
Yes,
Does that
yes.
hurt you?
Well, it does. I mean, it is their job, and I know someone's got to keep an eye on keeping all the interest rates and all the inflation
Keeping
under
a lid on
control and
spending.
so on. But yes, it's not
Yes, all right.
from my perspective. I'm
Edward.
not too happy this week.
Yeah, I've got Keir Starmer, the British Prime Minister.
Oh, that's an interesting one.
He's absolutely copping it at the moment in the local elections, which are happening our time. They've lost hundreds of seats, and it looks very, very dire for them. So I don't think there's anyone in the world that's lost more than him this week, at least politically.
That's the what party?
Labor Party.
No. The party.
Reform is surging. Yeah.
Yeah, that movement is surging all over the world, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a lot of it. I think there's it's driven primarily off anti-immigration. I think it's people who are wanting to keep their countries, and Reform embodied that for some time. There's also parties like Restore Britain that are doing so as well. So it'll be interesting to see how that flows.
Do you see the same thing flowing through to Farrer? I think you did say that One Nation's the chance.
Yeah, I think so, and I think where One Nation might have slipped up is what their candidate was talking about, saying that 306,000 extra migrants isn't too much, which is obviously in contradiction to One Nation's policy. So they've got a lot to sort out there. But at a grassroots level, yeah, I think there's rising nationalism, people who love their country, and I think that's a good thing. I'm
going to nominate for my wooden spooner the kids who robbed the Dicky Beach IGA and beat up the shopkeeper. We had him on yesterday or the day before. Even though these teenagers had used scissors and had left him in a very, very bad way, they were released without a custodial sentence. So I suppose it's split between the judge or magistrate, I think it might have been a judge in that case, who left those children without a custodial sentence, the kids themselves and the kids' families. Where were their parents? If it was my kid, I'd be straight down to the shop to apologise. I'd be mortified that my child could have done something like that. Thank you so much for coming in and joining us, Rosie and Edward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Did you have a fun time?
It's been a pleasure. Thanks
been
for having
great.
us.
Thank you.